They say money can buy anything. But for Joe Lo, it didn't just buy luxury. It bought an empire. From private jets and partying with celebrities to one of the biggest financial frauds in history, Joe Lo's life was a roller coaster of glamour, deceit, and scandal. His story reads like a Hollywood movie, but the twist: the billions funding it all were stolen. Intrigued? Strap in, because this tale is crazier than you could ever imagine. Born in 1981 on the small island of Penang in Malaysia, Joe Lo came from humble beginnings. His family wasn't poor, but they weren't rich either. They had dreams, though, big dreams. The Lo family was ambitious, and they thought big enough to send Joe off to Harrow, one of England's most prestigious boarding schools. But Harrow wasn't just any school. It was a playground for royalty and billionaires, a place where the future's richest would rub shoulders. And Joe, he didn't just want to fit in, he wanted to stand out. He wanted to be more than just another face in the crowd. But fitting in wasn't easy, especially when you were a Malaysian boy in an elite all-boys school full of wealth and privilege. Joe quickly realized that to rise above the others, he had to create the illusion that he already had everything that others desired. And he played that game well. To blend in with his new wealthy friends, Joe borrowed a 160-foot yacht from a family friend, swapped their family photos for his own, and sold it as his. The fact it wasn't even his, well, that didn't stop him. He was already mastering the art of perception, making sure he looked like a billionaire, even if he wasn't. The yacht, it was just a prop in a much larger performance. Joe understood early on, it wasn't just about living the high life. It was about convincing everyone else that you already had it all. And Joe Lo was a natural at this game of illusion. As time passed, Joe continued his climb, building the illusion that he had everything: luxury, wealth, and the power that came with it. By 2009, his world was about to collide with that of Malaysia's rising political stars. Enter Najib Razak, Malaysia's deputy prime minister, who would later rise to power as the country's prime minister. By then, Joe had worked his way into the circles of the world's richest. He was ready to make his move. It wasn't just about networking anymore. Joe knew that if he wanted to build a fortune, he needed the right connections. With ties in the Middle East, he brokered a massive deal that seemed like a legitimate business venture at first. The creation of the One Malaysia Development Berhad Fund was supposed to be a national development project meant to fuel Malaysia's economic growth. But what started as a development project quickly became a tool for Joe to fuel his own lavish lifestyle. Behind the scenes, Joe was siphoning billions from the fund into his own pockets. It wasn't just a scam. It was a masterclass in manipulation. Backed by Najib, Joe was playing a deadly game of smoke and mirrors. What looked like a national project was, in reality, one of the largest financial heists in modern history. And the world had no idea. The real treasure wasn't in the government's coffers. It was hidden in Joe Lo's pockets. Once Joe Lo had access to billions, there was no stopping him. Mansions, you bet. Private jets, always. Picasso paintings, absolutely. But it wasn't just the wealth that consumed him. It was the excess, the kind of lifestyle that made even billionaires feel inadequate. Between 2009 and 2010, Joe Lo and his friends blew through a jaw-dropping $85 million on partying, gambling, and of course, renting out nightclubs and hiring celebrities. He didn't throw regular parties. These were legendary events. Leonardo DiCaprio, Paris Hilton, and Kim Kardashian were regular guests. One birthday in Vegas, Britney Spears herself jumped out of a cake to sing happy birthday. But the crazy part, Joe wasn't just having fun. He knew how to work the system. Every celebrity he paid to hang out with him raised his profile, making him seem even more untouchable. Yet, Joe Lo wasn't satisfied with being the king of excess. He had bigger dreams. He wanted to make his way to Hollywood. In a move that can only be described as pure audacity, He got involved with Red Granite Pictures and helped finance The Wolf of Wall Street, a film about a financial scam, funded by his very own financial fraud. It's almost too perfect. The irony was so thick, you could cut it with a knife. A film about deception, funded by real deception. And when DiCaprio won his Golden Globe for the film, he actually gave a shout-out to Joe Low. Can you imagine? A movie about a man who scammed millions, financed by one of the biggest fraudsters of all time. The twisted circle of life was complete, and Joe Low was at the center. But despite his Hollywood fame, whispers started to surface. Jordan Belfort, the real-life inspiration for The Wolf of Wall Street, wasn't fooled by Joe's flashy lifestyle. He could see through the glitz and glamour, and he didn't trust a word of it. The more famous Joe became, the more people started wondering, how did he get here? How did a man from Penang, Malaysia, become one of the wealthiest, most influential people in the world? As Joe Low's empire continued to expand, the cracks started to show. By 2015, journalists were getting too close, digging into the 1MDB fund. The world began to connect the dots. What appeared to be a series of risky investments was, in reality, one of the largest financial frauds the world had ever seen. The scale of the theft was staggering, and Joe's house of cards was beginning to crumble. But even as the walls closed in, Joe Low didn't miss a beat. He kept living like a king, partying and gambling, all while money flowed through Swiss bank accounts and hidden shell companies. It was almost as if Joe thought the truth would never catch up to him. But fate has a way of catching up with the best of them. In 2018, Malaysia's Prime Minister Najib Razak, who had backed Joe's operations, lost his position in a shocking election. The new government, determined to investigate the scandal, turned the heat up on Joe. The net was tightening, and Joe knew it. His once gilded life of excess was no longer sustainable. Realizing the end was near, Joe did what any person with a vast fortune and no conscience would do. He fled. Gone were the days of flashing his wealth in the faces of the rich and famous. The A-list parties, the luxury yachts, the billion-dollar schemes, all gone. Joe Low's empire had fallen. With it, his carefully crafted image of invincibility crumbled. Where was he now? Rumors spread that he was hiding in China, under the protection of powerful officials who had their own reasons for keeping him safe. But for how long? The life he once knew, the celebrity friends, the parties, the yachts, was now just a memory. Gone, just like the billions he had stolen. The clock was ticking. Joe Low's rise and fall is the ultimate tale of excess, deceit, and betrayal. From a young man who used his charm and connections to fake his way into the world's elite, to a financial mastermind who orchestrated one of the largest heists in history, Joe Low's story is a chilling reminder of how far people will go to maintain an illusion. What started as a simple lie became a web of deception that would ruin lives, alter political landscapes, and make billions disappear into thin air. In the end, Joe Low wasn't just a criminal. He became a symbol of greed, power, and how far ambition can push someone to destroy everything in their wake. His legacy serves as a warning. Ambition without morality can lead to chaos, and even the most carefully constructed lies will eventually fall apart. What do you think? How did Joe Low pull this off? And what does it say about the world's obsession with wealth and power? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more insane stories. And hit the bell so you never miss a wild ride like this one.